Hello, I'm Sid, and for the practicum, I'm going to show how to do species richness surveying. For this kind of surveying, the equipment you'll need is 2 tape measures, and 1 pin, and I'm going to set up, I'm going to stretch out these 2 tape measures at about a 90-degree angle to make a quadrant shape. Alright, now I'm going to take this tape measure and just go at a 90-degree angle down this way. Do you mind holding it? There you go. Alright. Now that you have it at a 90-degree angle, what we're going to do for species richness is 2 kinds of surveying. So we are going to start with identifying species. It can be helpful beforehand to look around and see what species there are, or make a species list to make it go faster. I chose this location because I wanted to capture most of the dominant species and the distribution. So this captures a lot of what I am seeing around here without really dense clumps of particular species. So to start with, we're going to start by a 1x1 meter. So the 1 meter starts right here. We have the other meter starting right here. And you're going to identify what species are in this quadrant. So it seems like we have about 2 grass species. And so when considering what's in your quadrant, so this 1 meter kind of comes right here and right here. So this plant, brittle bush, I would not consider in because over 50% of the plant is not in. So 50% of the plant is not in your quadrant. I wouldn't count it, and also the basal of the plant is not inside either. So I'm not going to count that for the 1x1 meter, and I'm going to start off with 3 plant species. So then you're going to move on to your 2x2 meter. We have the 2x2 here, going this way, and then the 2x2 meter, show the tape, right here. So this captures now, we have 3 plants, and so now we have brittle bush, that's 4, range ratney, which is 5. I would not consider this in because it's not touching the boundary at all. So now we have 5 plants. Usually, according to the book, when you do your density surveys, which I'll go in how to do when we get to the 4x4, because that's most likely when we'll be able to do it, but you have to have at least 5 non-herbaceous species or woody species. So that includes shrubs, trees, and cactus. But for this, we only have 2 non-herbaceous species. So I'm gonna keep going until I have at least 5, and at least some of those 5, there's a couple of them. Alright, so let's go to the 3x3 here. I'm at this 3x3. Sorry, under that. And then the 3x3 mark is right here. Alright, so standing here, now we have a few more species. I see about 2 more grasses. And then we have the saguaro, so that's 1 non-herbaceous, fishhook barrel cactus, brittle bush, creosote, and range ratney. So that's 5. So now with this 3x3, I can do a density survey. So how you do a density survey is I take these herbaceous, non-herbaceous species that I just listed here, and I will count each one. So there is 1, 2, 3. There is 6 brittle bush, 1 saguaro, 1 fishhook barrel cactus, 3 range ratney, and 1 creosote bush. The book is set for you to do it at a 2x2. So basically I'll be dividing that number by a third to get what the density is in this 2x2 meter. So now if we go to 4, here's 4. I'm gonna walk this way, and there's 4 right there on the meter mark. I'm going to just do the same thing and identify all the species that land within it that are at least 50% in with their basils in. So I'd probably qualify this because the basil, this is 2 separate plants, the basil is in for this one, and it's mostly within the quadrant here, but probably not this creosote. So you're gonna do that. Can you come here? So we got the 1x1, 2x2, 3x3, this is the 4x4. Then you're going to do it at this 5x5 mark, and then you're going to go all the way to the back of your tape for the 10x10 and write down how many species are in each one. It's important to consider this is good for an assessment when you're trying to find the most dominant species, to find how many species are on the land. But if you are going to do a monitoring plan instead of just an assessment, it's important to consider that point. So we did like 5 different transects, but for monitoring, once we got to about our 5x5, that's when we got almost all of our plant species. Well, for this particular quadrant, it was more at our 4x4 that we got the majority of our species. So at the 4x4, most of the species were represented, all the dominant species were represented, and also it's a lot more time efficient than doing an entire 10x10 quadrant.